Hey guys, welcome to the 6th and final episode of Surviving Social Isolation. I'm Haley.
And I'm Stephanie.
And we're in the same room.
Yes. So we are not isolated anymore, but we are together.
We are together. Yes, we are both fully vaccinated and have taken all of the appropriate precautions. But we thought it was quite poetic to end our social isolation podcast not socially isolated.
So I guess for this episode, we're going to talk about what do we learn through social isolation.
Yeah, and I also think we're going to cover how, for lack of a better word, how weird it is to be coming out of social isolation.
Mm-hmm. Super weird. Our entire relationship was online.
Yes, we knew each other virtually, and that was it.
And
now we don't. Now we know each other in real life.
Right?
Yeah, and it's odd. Not that like no.
It's odd.
It's odd. It's odd.
It's weird.
It's weird.
When does stage 3 happen? Like, when were we out in the world?
I got my second dose the beginning of June.
Mm-hmm. We were just about...
We were in the same
days,
week.
exactly.
Yeah, we both got it in the same week.
It was nice, but it was scary.
Yeah?
Not scary. I guess just it felt unfamiliar to be back into the world.
Yeah.
To be talking. To be... My relationships evolved.
Yeah.
They changed in weird ways that I didn't really expect. Some got better, some got worse.
Mm-hmm.
My own relationship with myself also changed.
Yep.
I would like to think I got a little more mature, to be a little more self-reflective.
I actually waited to like publicly post that I had gotten my second dose just because all of my friends who had publicly posted had basically immediately followed up their posts of like, I got my second vaccine with, in 2 weeks I'm planning a party. And I was sort of like, I don't know if I'm emotionally ready to tell everyone that I'm vaccinated and therefore like eligible to do these things and then have a bunch of people being like, hey, come do the thing. And so yeah, so I think there's like a very interesting social swing that's happening. You know, like, because there's obviously that idea of like every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And the same could be said about like social behavior. And when it comes to like social isolation, that was obviously a very big swing away from socializing. And now that it's lifting, there is an equal and opposite swing. Exactly.
It's, dived right in. Because we're so excited to do these things, but we forget socializing is a lot.
It's a lot.
Like,
people are exhausting.
Yeah. People are exhausting. And I've gotten so used to shutting down technology and shutting all my connection with people, and I could recharge.
Yeah.
But now, I don't know how to leave a room.
When it comes to social media and connecting virtually, there is a very real reality of you cannot exist virtually with someone quietly. But, like, hanging out like this, like, a decent part of hanging out in person is sitting and doing something together, but not necessarily engaging with each other directly.
It's true. Like, we can ignore each other, and that silence is almost welcoming and comforting.
Exactly. But generally speaking, you couldn't really do that virtually, because if you stop talking, eventually somebody just goes, okay, well, like, I'll call you later, bye. Like, you're busy, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
And so sort of like you say, like, I don't know how to leave a room. It's like, I've kind of forgotten how to shut up.
I also get you in the terms of all of our classes have been virtual, and I've gotten so used to, like, muting, unmuting, and I know I have a purpose.
Yeah.
And I will talk a lot because I'm like, I don't know the next time I'm going to talk.
Yeah.
And now I do it now.
Yeah. It's like, I say my point, and if it leads into another point, I keep talking. I think the social expectations have sort of shifted slightly, both from others as well as, like, from yourself. Like, what I expect of myself as, like, I am being social. I'm engaging with my friend or this specific thing in this specific way. My expectation for myself and my kind of what is and what is deemed acceptable and what isn't has shifted over the pandemic.
You had mentioned it last week about during the pandemic, there was this sweet spot where people finally got some rest.
Sure, yeah.
And that really resonates with me because being isolated by more social events, I was actually able to rest, and I realized I was able to reflect more on the triggers that I have that where I know I'm about to burn out socially.
Right.
And I never thought about it before because I thought it was very important to always be doing something, always be socializing, always being busy.
Right.
busy.
And I think a lot of people sort of have that mentality. There's like a general rule of if you're not being productive or you're not doing something, you're wasting your time.
Yeah, like time is money.
The one that always gets me is if this person wants to talk to you, they'll make time for you. If I'm put in a situation where I'm choosing my health and well-being versus spending time with this person that I greatly care about, at least some of the time I'm gonna choose myself, you know, and it's like, it doesn't mean I care about you any less, it just means I care about myself more.
And that's not bad.
If you need time to rest and recover because the pandemic is stressful or all the other things that are happening are stressful, if you need that time, it doesn't make you a bad or wrong person to prioritize yourself.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, last week we sort of spiraled into a capitalist conversation.
As you do.
But to sort of bring it back, you know, capitalism has always sort of run the mantra of like, you as an individual, you as a worker are worth X number of dollars per hour. And then when the pandemic hit, all of a sudden, you know, people were actually putting kind of limitations on themselves, whether those limitations were simply like work hours or I'm only going to accomplish a certain number of tasks, regardless of what those tasks are. But people were putting these kind of hard lines on themselves so that they could stop working. And in doing that, kind of reflected on their own wants and needs, specifically around work. And then I think that kind of, you know, generalized outwards towards
kind of branches out.
Yeah, towards your relationships, towards your own behavior. And so now that people had, you know, more finite control over their own schedule, I think a lot of people found that there either were big lumps of time where they were like, oh, I'm not doing anything, I want to do something, and I'm bored, or they were like, oh my god, I have so much free time, I can rest, I can recover, I can, you know, I can really like explore who I am as a person and my wants and my needs, and like, I'm here for that. Like, that's excellent.
Yeah, and like you said, the pandemic was very scary, and I don't know if I didn't really feel like we were allowed to show that we were super worried. And that's why rest is good, right?
Yeah.
We didn't consciously, or maybe some of us did, we didn't say it out loud, but it still bugged us and under your skin. And the rest was good. Yeah.
I think the pandemic has really highlighted that there is a difference between leisure time and rest time. And I think that that's something that a lot of people have learned in this time and also have learned to value. This is the final episode. We've talked about a lot of stuff. Is there anything that has really stuck with you? Is there anything that you were happy to see, sad to see, thought was really interesting? Anything we missed? What do you think?
I like that the whole series came from a very personal part. I liked that I could relate to your stories. I liked that a lot of the content that we talked about is things that we could recognize happen in our own life.
Absolutely.
Our well-being should always be talked about,
Yeah.
and it doesn't always have to be this really heavy topic where it's doom and disaster.
Yeah.
And so, like this entire series, I liked that we were also able to connect in different ways.
We started the podcast by saying it's going to feel very cathartic for us and insightful for others. And I think we accomplished that. Thank you so much for listening. This has been the final episode of Surviving Social Isolation. I don't really know if we have a question per se, but I do think just keeping on theme and on brand for this episode, just sort of reflecting on maybe some of the some of the things you actually benefited from the lockdown and from the pandemic and socially isolating that you might take with you going forward. Other than that, I'm Haley.
I'm Stephanie.
And this has been Surviving Social Isolation.